Okay, welcome everybody. Namaste. Warm greetings to all of you. Today, on the 2nd November, we are here with the One Health Digital Webinar Series, jointly organized by International Veterinary Student Association IVSA Paklihawa and YPARD Nepal. What a pleasure to have you all here on the first day. We are so much glad to have you all here. On our different live streams. It's me, Kamana Kafle, pursuing my graduation from ICAST in agriculture sector is here with you as a moderator for the today's session. Without any further delay, to welcome all of you, I would like to hand over this virtual platform to Miss Usha Khatri ji, who is also one of the coordinator of SCHO Standing Committee on One Health Coordinator IVSA Paklihawa. So, without any further delay, I would like to welcome her to this virtual platform. Miss Khatri, are you here?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. Hello, and a very pleasant good afternoon, everyone. It is with utmost pleasure to welcome all of you in this One Health webinar series organized jointly by International Veterinary Students Association IVSA Paklihawa, a local chapter of IVSA Nepal, and YPARD Nepal. One Health. One Health is a collaborative, multi-sectoral, and transdisciplinary approach working at the local, national, regional, and global levels with the goals of achieving optimal health outcomes, recognizing the interconnection between people, animals, plants, and their shared environment. November 3. So, what is November 3? November 3 is marked as One Health Day globally to celebrate the concept with awareness and aim to achieve the global goal. And November 3, 2020, which is tomorrow and the year is today's, marks the fifth annual One Health Day, a global campaign that celebrates and brings attention to the address shared health threats at the human-animal environment interface. Here, I, Usha Khatri, standing on One Health Coordinator IVSA Paklihawa, would like to welcome you all in today's event and our upcoming events of the series. The role of SCOR. What is the role of SCOR? The role of SCOR is twofold: One Health and veterinary public health. The committee aims to promote the importance of One Health and the interdisciplinary collaboration between vets and other One Health related scientists, between vets and other One Health related scientists which are involved in this, and they aim and they focus on the awareness of the role of veterinary public health. As in say, One Health Day is one of the greatest days for the SCOR committee. Before we get started on the event and its plan, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to our dear precious speakers of the series. We have two honorable speakers each day to present on their specific topics. So I would like to welcome all the speakers, and I would like to express my gratitude to our speakers. We have Dr. Rakesh Chand. We have Dr. Rakesh Chand as our honorable opening speakers. Dr. Chand pursued his BBSc and AH at ISTU Paklihawa, Chitwan at 2015 AD. Since 2015 to 2017, he worked at National Zoonosis and Food Hygiene Research Center, which is also called NGFHRC. He was enrolled to 2017 to 2018 at Japan in JVMA, which is Japan Veterinary Medical Association. He has gained many achievements in his paths. Currently, he has joined PhD in Veterinary Medicine, University of Cambridge, on the research topic One Health approach for rabies control in Nepal, evaluating the burden, surveillance, and transmission and policies. Today, he will be presenting an overview of One Health concept in Nepal, insect trade, and their role in global health, which is the most interesting topic. Now, on the second half of today's event, as I have already mentioned that each day we have our two honorable speakers to speak on, to present on some specific topics they have chosen to. Now, on the second half of today's event, we have honorable speaker, Mr. Abhishek Khadka. Mr. Kharka has completed his master's degree in food technology with a major in dairy technology and graduated in 2013. He has a wide range of volunteer experience in different national and international networks. Personally, he's working as a program coordinator as a program manager in Volio Nepal Nutrition Initiative, which is working in the field of the nutrition, engaging private sectors. He does have national and international papers related to food safety, product formation, biopolymers, nutrition, and renowned food scientist. He was awarded as a best scientific presenter in the Food Conference 2014 and best poster presenter in 2018. Today, he will be presenting on climate change and its nexus with food and nutrition security. And with Mr. Abhishek Khadka presentation, Abhishek Khadka's presentation, our today's event will be adjourned. On November 3rd, which is tomorrow, the second day, we have Mr. Ahmed Magdi. He is currently working at Standing Committee on Public Health, SCOPH, also the Members Engagement Development Assistant MEDA at IFMSA, which is also called International Federation of Medical Students Association. On the second day of One Health webinar series, Mr. Ahmed will be presenting on public health safety standards and outbreak investigation. On second half of the second day event, we have Mr. Manoj Boshal. Mr. Boshal pursued his Bachelor's in Food Technology BTech in TU in 2010. He has done his MS in Nutrition and Dietetics from Manipal University, Udupi, India in 2015. He has been delegate of Asia Pacific Youth Exchange Program APYE Thailand 2017, and he has gained many more experiences in his paths. He has also his research work published in many renowned journals, and his topic of discussion, and he will be presenting on nutrition and improved health towards global food security. On November 4th, the third day and our closing day of the series, we have our honorable speaker, Dr. Igna and Dormant. Dr. Igna is the clinical director at the One Health Foundation. The presentation reflects Dr. Igna's recent field study in Nepal testing the seroprevalence of canine distemper virus in free-roaming dogs and the threats to local wildlife with the title Canine Distemper Virus, a Conservation Concern. And on the second half of the day, we have Dr. Sujit Shah. He is PhD scholar in biotechnology. He persuaded this level from TU in Nepal. He does have his research works published in reputed international journal. The research area he performed is orchid microbe interaction. He has his great interest in microbiome study. And his topic is, and he will be presenting on interrelationship between health, diet, and exercise. I want to thank all of our honorable speakers of the series and dear participants on behalf of IVSA Paklihawa and YPARD Nepal family. Hope our participants will be benefited by our series. Hope they would be nourished with some refreshed and new wisdom on One Health. If you have any suggestions regarding the program, your messages are highly welcomed at our FB page. Thank you and enjoy.
Thank you so much, Usaji, for your valuable words and for your wonderful welcome speech. So thank you so much for your time and your presence. So for our very first opening speaker, we have got Mr. Rakesh Chand as our welcome speech given by Usha Khatriji has already mentioned Dr. Chand's position, but let me introduce him. He will be presenting on overview of One Health concept in Nepal, insect trade and their role in global health. He's the director of Center for One Health Research and Promotion, COHRP Nepal. He is also the executive member of Nepal Veterinary Association NVA. He is also the country lead of 0.30 project rabies control program in Nepal. We are so much very delighted to listen from him today. So let's welcome him to this platform. So can you hear me?
Yes. So shall I start?
Yes, sure. The platform is all yours. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you. First, let me share the screen. Right? Wait. Okay. 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 Can you see this screen? Yes. How can I? So, can you see the slides?
Yes, you can share your screen.
Okay, so then I'll start. First of all, thank you so much, IVSA and YPARD Nepal, for giving me the opportunity to start this One Health session that you guys are having for a couple of days. And so I also graduated from IS, so but it was from Rampur, and it's a pleasure being out here talking to my fellow vet students and maybe some fellow vets as well. So yeah, so I just finished my MPhil from the University of Cambridge, and I am continuing to my PhD. And right now I'm working on rabies control in Nepal, and through the One Health concept. And I also have an NGO in Nepal, Center for One Health Research and Promotion, through which we're running the 0.30 rabies control program and also the AMR project. So it's all focused on One Health and the One Health approach. So let's start. So yeah, so today I'm asked to talk about like a broad range of topics. What is the concept of One Health, the One Health situation in Nepal, and the insect trade and their role in global health. So due to time constraint, I'm just gonna give like a brief introductions of everything, because I'm sure like you're gonna go deeper into the issues in the coming sessions. So let's talk about the gist and about the main message regarding what One Health is, and also the introduction towards the insect trade, which I'm sure as vets, like none of us like know a lot about. So firstly, so what is One Health? So One Health is a collaborative effort or a multidisciplinary effort where different sectors work towards obtaining optimal health for people, for animals, for plants, and the environment. So the One Health recognizes that the health of different components, such as the human beings, animals, and the environment, they're closely interrelated. So when one gets affected, the rest also subsequently feel the burden. So that is the whole concept behind the One Health approach. And so, yeah. And so talking about a brief history of One Health, so the concept is not fairly new. It's really old, but the term One Health has just been coined like in the recent years. So the evolution started when in 1800s Rudolf Virchow coined the term zoonosis for the diseases that transmits between animals and human beings. And then in 1964, a vet named Calvin Squabe, he was the one who coined the term One Medicine for the first time. And then the terminologies, they evolved into One World, One Health. And the approach actually took off in 2006 during the avian influenza outbreak, where the American Veterinary Medical Association, they established for the first time a One Health Initiative task force to tackle this outbreak. And in 2007, so they've passed the One Health resolution and recommended approach for response to global, and recommended this is the approach for the global disease outbreak. And then in 2008, FAO, WHO, OIE, so they all joined the cause, and then they reiterated the AVMA's recommendation regarding One Health being the approach towards the global health. So that is kind of the evolution of the One Health term. So as we can see, it just started from 2007, 2008, around 13, 14 years back. So it's fairly new. So, And so yeah, so why is the One Health Day celebrated, right? So it's celebrated annually in November 3rd, and it started from 2015. So this is the 5th year they're doing the International One Health Day, and it started by the One Health Commission, jointly by the One Health Commission, the One Health Platform, the One Health Initiative team. And the reason behind having this day is like every other day, like for awareness and education purpose, right? So the day aims to celebrate and bring attention to the need for One Health approach to address the health issues and threat to the human, animal, and environment interface. So this is kind of awareing the globally people and experts regarding this approach, and as well as trying to make them implement this for an optimal global health situation. So why is One Health important? So like I said before, all life systems are connected, and when you stress one, it impacts all of them. Like we saw in this Venn diagram, right? Where let me show you. Like in this one. So like in this one, when so everything is shared. So when you disturb one component, it affects the rest of them as well. And so this, and subsequently, when you treat one component, it protects the rest of the sphere as well. So this is the basic idea. And so, and as we know, like majority of the diseases that we know are zoonotic, right? For example, avian influenza, HIV/AIDS, SARS, and now, right now, coronavirus. So they are transmitted between animals and human beings. So what the concept basically says is that we need to look at the disease in a broader aspects. So traditionally what happened was, so vets looked at just animal diseases, right? So human clinicians or human doctors looked at just human patients, and there was no communication, no collaborative efforts between these different sectors. But the ultimate goal is kind of the same, right? To control the disease or to improve the situation of the disease in a community. So the idea says that when we're working for a common goal, so why rather than working separately, we can work together to attain that final goal. So and like I said before, diseases transcend beyond professional discipline, right? For example, air pollution. Air pollution affects animals. Air pollution affects human beings in pneumonia or some other lung diseases, and also to the climate or environment due to climate change, heating of the earth or trapping of the gases. So one component is affecting all of them. So rather than working differently, different professionals working into different sectors, we need a combined front and jointly tackle the issues that we have right now. And so one example I would give you of is the Ebola virus. So what happened was the Ebola virus was limited to bats, and bats were considered to be very different from human beings. There was no a regular interaction, so that was the thing. But what happened was, in real scenario, so the infected bats of the Ebola virus, they infected the fruits, because fruits when they were feeding off them, and the infected fruits were then consumed by monkeys, and the monkeys were later hunted by human beings as bushmeat and they ate the monkeys. So then see that pathway, so that traveled the Ebola virus from bats to the human beings. So what the concept says is, if we treated the wild animals, then ultimately the risk to the human beings would be less, or we would protect the human population if we focused on that other aspects. So this is what the One Health talks about. And okay, so One Health is good. It's considered the way forward or the future of healthcare or global health, right? But so for that, all disciplines or spheres, they need to be aware about the impact of the life systems on Earth. But the question remains how are we gonna do this, right? So like I said, so One Health is a team sport. So there's so it's called like 3 C's of One Health. Like I call it that 3 C's. So there is collaboration, coordination, and communication between the different sectors. So it's called the synergy effect. Like for 1+1 is 3. So rather than when one sector is working alone and achieving certain goal, rather than doing that, when everyone work together, they will achieve a greater goal, and the outcomes would be more and more effective. So that is the entire goal of the One Health approach and how we do it. And some of the common issues that right now, like what the One Health is concerned with is, like I'm sure like you all know AMR, antimicrobial resistance. So One Health deals with food safety, food security, and zoonotic diseases, especially the vector-borne diseases, and environmental contaminations, climate change. And I'm sure the next speaker was going to elaborate on that. And also not just limited to these, but even like other like sectors that we don't commonly know, such as chronic diseases, mental health, injury, occupational health, and non-communicable diseases can also be looked by the One Health approach. So the multidisciplinary collaborations, right? So for a One Health approach, it's so when we think about generally when people talk about One Health approach, it's always human doctors and vets, and that's it. But it's way broader than that. You know, for a multi-sectoral or a multidisciplinary collaboration, there could be like different, like vastly different professionals. You know, there could be nurses, doctors, microbiologists, even engineers, dentists, statisticians, modelers, mathematical modelers, epidemiologists, biologists, agriculturists, ecologists, wildlife experts. So the One Health approach is also, it's not the one size fits all. So depending upon the disease, the issue, the involvement of the sectors can be different. You know, even the sectors, the multidisciplinary sectors will also contribute the public, the political parties, the media, right? So different sectors that will ultimately work together to make or promote the health situation of a community is One Health. So, okay, so since I'm working on rabies, and let me give you the example of rabies when the One Health approach is applied. And so traditionally what happens is, as vets, we work towards just the dogs. We vaccinate the dogs. We do dog neutering programs, right? Animal birth control camps to reduce the populations. So that was all that we did, and there was no connection with other external factors. And human doctors, they just vaccinated the human beings, that like post-exposure vaccination to the ones that got bitten by the dog. That was all. But for effective rabies control, we need like a long chain, you know, because, for example, besides the two I've already mentioned, so we need to know. We also need ecologists, you know, to tell the authorities that sterilization is better than culling, right? And also we also need ecologists to show us the situation that what happens if we just remove an entire dog population from a community, then what are the other effects it has on the life cycle. We need sanitarians, you know, because the dogs, they survive on the dumpsters and feed materials or the kitchen waste that are dumped out in the cities, on the corners of the roads. So that is where they are thriving. So we need them to manage those waste materials so that the population of the dogs cannot thrive. And we need educators, right? Like awareness programs and media, you know, to inform the people about different issues, such as how to spot or like symptoms of rabies, what to do upon a dog bite, and how is a responsible dog ownership implemented. So these are the things. So we need various components, and we also need a wildlife section, because in many countries what we've seen is that they control the urban rabies, but still the wildlife, due to the presence of wildlife rabies, the people are getting affected from spillover from the wildlife. So we need wildlife experts to show to have the situation of animal movement and like wildlife ecology. So when all these sectors work together, then only we can aim to achieve a greater goal. Otherwise, like we've had rabies like since God knows when, and we're gonna have it like lots of coming years in the future as well. And so, why is One Health important in Nepal, right? So high disease burden and low healthcare service. So this is like, we're a developing country, right? So what happens is that because of the economic situation, because of the low literacy rate, what happens is that we have all kinds of disease here. Like in the developed countries, they have like eradicated and they have control of many important diseases, like such as like rabies or some other things like parasitic diseases. But we have everything, but we also have like really low healthcare service. So this is why we need the One Health approach in Nepal. And we also have a close human-animal interface, because we have a backyard farming system. Like most of the farming is rural, it's a non-commercial, and so what happens is that the animal-human interactions are fairly common. And what we've learned, I'm sure, because lots of you are vet students, that many of the diseases, they require multiple hosts to complete their life cycle. So when during this close human-animal interface, so the parasite or the pathogen, let's say pathogen, gets an optimal environment for the growth and survivability. So that is one situation. We have a lot of a free roaming dog population, So the dog kinds of acts as a vehicle for the transmission of different diseases from urban to wild to household dogs. So that is another thing. And also we have a lot of wildlife in Nepal, and diseases are constantly transferring from that aspects. So one example, I'll give you is these two pictures. So this was this was a research that was done by the Heifer International, where I was also this one. So I was also the part of the field exam, post-mortem team, and so this was a village in Biratnagar, a Khatik village, where high number of the villagers had epilepsy issues, and neurological problems. So this was a research on cysticercosis. So that is why we target the village. And the situation was the pigs, they lived with these people. So they were not confined to pens. They were just sleeping on the room, in the huts with the people. They were allowed to roam freely. So this was in the border of the India, and these pigs would go to India during the day, just eat all the garbage that they can find, and then come back and sleep with the people, and the people ate the pigs. And during the post-mortem, we saw a lot of a huge parasitic burden. So these are cysticercosis cysts. So these are parasitic cysts. So this is an example of how a close interaction or a close living quarters can affect the disease situation. And so other important thing about One Health would be the budgetary access or benefits. For example, whenever there comes human health, the focus is higher compared to livestock health or animal health, and we know this. But when we are connected as a One Health or One Health approach, so we can tap into that huge budget or huge resources that the government has provided. So this has happened in a lot of countries where when they opted for a One Health approach, the resources, the funding, the experts, the pooling, it gradually increased. So this is one of the things that's required for a country like Nepal, where we have a limitation of nearly everything, like budget, experts, right? And yeah, same thing, less experts, scientists, or resources. So we have less doctors, we have less vets, but the principle behind working is kind of the same, right? Epidemiology is the same, the disease recognition, the lab work is kind of the same. So rather than working into just working, keeping ourselves limited to our individual fields, it's more effective to share the knowledge and resources with other fields. One example, what I can give you is the current coronavirus situation in Nepal. So, so the coronavirus, so right now it is a public health issue, but due to the limitation of labs and manpower, so there was a limitation of labs and manpower. So the veterinary sector kind of got involved in towards helping the human side regarding diagnosis of the suspected samples. So a lot of our regional labs are currently diagnosing the infected or suspected COVID samples from all across Nepal. So this is one of the really good examples of sharing of resources and expertise. And the other important thing is the high impact of culture, religion, and tradition on disease dynamics. This is a thing that not many people think about, because every society, every culture, they have different traditions or practices, and based on that, many times the disease progression or transmission or survivability, that kind of changes. So one example I can give is, so in a lot of the societies, so there's a tradition of drinking raw milk, because the concept is that when you drink raw milk, the person or the baby, they become more stronger. So that is a huge huge red flag for maybe for transmission of diseases such as brucellosis, right? So in this or we have a lot of, like in the Hindu culture, we drink urine, right? So that's a leptospirosis waiting to happen. Or the pigs are fed like swill or hotel waste and a lot of parasitic diseases. So these kinds of cultural or societal concept, traditions, that they can greatly affect the situation of disease. So that's why we need One Health. We need to work together to solve these issues, right? So for example, so people are getting brucellosis a lot, right? So that the doctor has no idea on his own, why is this happening? But when they are collaborating with the vets, or then they know that the animals or the cows or the cattle, they have brucellosis, which in turn are being transmitted to the human beings through the milk. So the food process, like a food technology, or the food safety part comes as well. So you see how the One Health can impact one disease. And so One Health seems like a really nice concept, but in practicality, what are the issues, especially in Nepal, right? So I have to be truthful, right? So One Health is kind of limited to theory. I mean, not just in Nepal, but in many of the countries. So it sounds really good on paper, and in many cases, it has been a really good effort, like a good approach to control diseases or even for eradications. But in practicality, the implementation is really lacking, and so it's always like in lots of the places, it's always the veterinary sector leading the charge, and other sectors, they don't necessarily join, right? Because so that is the situation, and even in Nepal, it's I've seen this in a lot of so every presentation, every conference that we go to, they do mention One Health, and they do mention One Health as the future. But but in reality, like, there is no collaboration there. Well, there is, but there is lack of collaboration. There's lack of coordination. There's lack of communication. You know, like, for example, there's the intersectoral and intrasectoral, intrasectoral gap in collaboration or communication. So, for example, like the Department of Livestock Services, they're focusing on animal health. The Ministry of Health, they're focusing on human health. I've not heard of any joint programs where they are jointly working to tackle some zoonotic disease in Nepal. Like leave the intersectoral, even inside the sector. So the government, the government will always be the leading figure to control or to change or to improve the disease situation of a country. Like NGOs or universities or other research organizations, they will always be a supplementary addition, but the primary role is of the government. But even like inclusion of the NGOs, like for example, rabies, like rabies control, there is very limited communication with the animal welfare NGOs or research organizations by the government for a joint vaccination program, or when they're making a strategy or a policy that's required towards control of the disease. So that's not there. Like, government organization work their separate ways, and in turn the non-government organizations like work on their own. They don't want to be regulated or overlooked. So it's everyone's like going different directions. And there's no joint task force. And the other thing is like kind of reluctancy because this is the fact that there is a reluctancy to work together. I agree. For example, when you're vets, you kind of have that community, or when you're practicing vets, you prefer practicing vets. When you're governmental vets, you just prefer those vets. When you're researchers, but this reluctancy is like kind of really heavy in our society, you know. So I don't know, like, through either this is intentional or there is some conflict of interest, even the feeling of competition. So what this has done is this has kind of created a barrier for involvement of relevant sectors or eligible experts to get involved in the different operations or missions. And there's no data sharing, there is no coordination for control programs, there's no communication, and this is hampering the situation, or like the One Health situation, a lot. And furthermore, there's also kind of like allocation of non-eligible professionals in different positions. It's like, so for example, for epidemiology, you need to have epidemiologists. For lab work, you need to have lab experts. For policy, for economic assessment, so you need to have relevant people with relevant backgrounds and relevant experiences, right? But like here, that's there as the situation of Nepal, that's lacking. So what happens is when a person does not know about the work he's doing or does not know the field that he has been entrusted with, the focus or the work kind of gets a backseat, and then the involvement with other relevant experts kind of diminishes. So this is another issue that's happening. And like I mentioned before, One Health just limited to veterinary and medical professionals, and also underutilization of like available resources. One good example I can give is the universities and the students. So outside, so what happens like in developed countries or many of the like other countries, so universities kind of take the lead in research and development towards R&D, and the students, there's a huge amount of students that can be actually utilized for research, for control programs. But what we see in Nepal is that these kinds of potentially huge stack of resources are being underutilized or even not even utilized. So that is another thing, that we need to have collaboration and or even coordination, right? And yeah, so what are the way forward? And so the way forwards could be addressing all those issues. And when a government is proactively promoting or implementing the One Health approach, then others will follow. So when a government takes charge, the NGOs, everyone will support, and they have to follow. It's a government, and the government should be acceptable to outside involvement. So because there's lots of experts, scientists, or NGOs or whatever institutions, they're students. So they need to have a formal kind of system where they can formally recognize these institutions as partners and not just limit them to just a few meetings or workshops or that. And yes, and the multi-sector approach is needed. We don't have that in Nepal. And yeah, another thing is awareness programs, meetings, and discussions like this one. Not many know what the One Health approach is, even professionals, even veterinary and medical professionals. Not many know the gist behind this approach and how this can be used to tackle different issues. So I'm really thankful to IVSA Paklihawa for organizing this, because this is going to create some buzz and in turn kind of educate and make students like yourselves aware, so that you guys are the future of health sector in Nepal. So this is one thing. And also there needs to be an outcome of different programs that are implemented, because what we have a lot of conferences, a lot of talk programs, a lot of meetings, but there's no tangible outcome that we find. So there needs to be an outcome needs to be practically applicable in the field, because we don't have luxury to spend a lot of resources, money, and time on the same issues over and over again. So we need to have a kind of a concrete scope, or no, sorry, concrete vision of what we want to achieve. And so, but saying that, so there has been recently been some really good developments in the field of One Health in Nepal. So one example is recently, last year in December 30th of 2019. So the One Health strategy 2076 was approved by the cabinet. So now we have a official document or strategy that tells how to deal with emerging and re-emerging emerging diseases. So this is one improvement. And the other improvement in the system is that, so now there is a separate new One Health section under the Department of Livestock Services. So this is one of the starting a stepping stone towards the brighter future. So we actually have got past some of the hurdles. So hopefully things will improve more. So yeah, I think with this, that's all for the basics of One Health and what the situation is like in Nepal. And yeah, so that's that. And I think we can let's enter the world of insects. So okay, so this is kind of strange, right? Insects, a vet talking about insects. What is insects? So yeah, so even I had no idea about insects before I went to the OIE. So I was kind of hired by the OIE for 6 months to kind of work and towards or research on the international trade of insects, because they were also so starting out. So this was kind of the start, a preliminary phase where we kind of assessed what is the situation. So that's where I kind of got to know a bit of information about these creatures. So what are insects? So insects are animals of the class Insecta. So insects are invertebrates. They have exoskeleton They have segmented body, paired joint appendages, and they are hexapods. And in the world, currently, we have 5.5 million species of insects. So those are a lot of species to categorize. And so that's a vast field of insects. And talking about insects, so why are insects being used, right? So that's the main thing. Like, why are insects being traded? So there's a lot of uses of insects, a lot, because like I said, there's 5.5 million species. So it's a vast field. So some of the uses range from food and feed. So this is one of the biggest sector for which the insects are being used. And so eating insects is not that weird or new that like we assume. Entomophagy has been going back since long time, and also we think that insects are kind of harmful, but only like a small percentage of the insects are truly vectors. So there's a global practice of eating insects, and the sector is growing every year. And yes, and that is me eating insects. Yeah, in Japan, so it was kind of tasted like chicken. So yeah, so one would be like for food and feed. The other is for biological control, for agriculture, where the insects or the natural enemy, or they're introduced in an environment where they can kind of they will battle the pest that's been plaguing the area. So that's for biological control for agriculture. And they're also used for disease control. For example, mosquitoes are used where the sterilized insect mosquitoes, through radiation, they're kind of spread over an area where they render other female mosquitoes sterile, and then brings down the population of mosquitoes, and hence controlling the spread of malaria, right? So this is another sector, and a lot of other uses. So insects are used for waste management. So there is a biggest cockroach farm in China. So all the kitchen waste, so they eat that, and then the cockroaches are then converted into like a protein powders or some other things. Insects are used for, like, we know, honey and silk, like honeybees and silkworm, beeswax, dyes. There's a lot of scale insects used for insulators, printing inks, and dermicids, which are used in museums, where the carpet beetles, they feed on organic, so this one, on the organic tissue and clean the skeletons. And insects are also collected as hobbies or collection items, and they're also used for medical uses. So especially for, like, we know, like the maggot therapy, where they eat away the dead skin, that's really popular. And a lot of chemicals, enzymes are harvested from insects. And also to learn, like, about drones and robotics, insects are studied. So there's a big market for insects going on around the world. And yeah, so this was the survey which we did when I was in the OIE. And yeah, I'm not going to go into like a lot of detail because of the time constraint. So yes, so yeah, that's the OIE DG, Monique Elva, and me during the 87th general session. Yeah, so what we saw was a lot of vector species were being traded, like globally, So the ticks, midges, mosquitoes, flies that have a high disease potential, or vector species, they were being traded all over the world. And so this is kind of the trade map, where we can see that the insects were being traded between different continents. So because in this day and age of globalization, where the transportation and shipments have become fairly regular and like easily accessible, so the trade of insects is going on. So why we started with this research is that, okay, OIE is the intergovernmental organization, international organization, um, um, which is tasked with regulating the trade of animals, or which is tasked with uh, controlling diseases through international trade. So one thing is the insects; they have a vector potential that have those have implications towards health of animals, as well as the second thing would be insects are animals, right? So it kind of falls in their domain. So that's why we started out with the preliminary survey. And so yeah, so what we saw was one of the biggest issues in the sector was that there was a big lack of standards and guidelines. So in many countries, like there was absolutely no regulation, or lacking, or even not fit for purpose. So it's like it's because insects, they have a lot of roles, or lots of shoes to fill. So and a lot of sectors are kind of involved: agriculture, environment, veterinary, wildlife, food safety, transportation authorities, quarantine services, or plant protection agencies, conservation. So a lot of sectors are kind of involved, and they each have their own kind of rules and regulations or standards, which might not be compatible with a lot of the other um, organizations. So what this was creating was this is kind of creating an unharmonized regulation globally. So some countries might have something, some might have something. So that kind of affects the trade situation. Like it creates unjustifiable barriers to trade. So that is why I started with this, and so that is the situation. And insects. So we identified a lot of insects that were being transported from different countries for like various purposes, and there were vectors which have impacts towards the animal and human health. There were invasive species or plant pests that have detrimental effects on the environment, ecology, conservation, or agriculture. So this insect sector kind of requires the whole One Health attention, because this is like very closely linked with everything. So this is where the One Health sector will kind of is one of the best examples to implement. And so right now there's very lack of attention or knowledge or involvement in this insect field, because this is fairly a new area. And but this is kind of the situation. And yeah, and currently just one insect species, the honeybees. So OI has guidelines towards honeybees, and there are 6 notifiable diseases of honeybees. So, but besides that, no other insects are categorized as focus species by the OIE. And yes, so that is one thing. And also, like, just before I end, so as veterinarians, this insect field, so this is the reason I kind of included the insect issue here, because this is one of future possibilities for us as vets, because insects are animals, right? So we look after animals, animal health, or so now there's a new concept as mini livestock. There's insect husbandry, and in the coming future there would be insect veterinarians, because there are lots of insect farms all across the world. So there would be insect medicine, insect diseases, and yeah, and we were also discussing insect welfare, maybe not now, but like decades down the line there could be that. So this is right now a fairly new field which has a lot of scope and potential for vets in the future. And yes, and finally, thank you. But yeah, before I go, let me share this picture. So I did this when I was a student. I did my research in porcine reproductive and respiratory syndrome, and so it was like big disease. So this was taken at the bank of the Manora River in Bhaktapur. So this was the situation. So as you can see, so there were pigs, there were people living, they were feeding the swill. You could see dogs running around, there were ducks, chicken, a perfect kind of environment for the the life cycle, or a one health, not one health, one disease kind of scenario present. So yeah, so this is kind of the situation. So we really need one health in Nepal. Yes. So thank you. Okay.
Thank you so much, Rakesh sir, for your presentation. Thank you so. I enjoyed the session so much. I have good knowledge about One Health, why One Health is important in Nepal, and what are its problem and what are its way forward. And I also have knowledge about the global trade of insect issues and etc. etc. So thank you so much for your lovely presentation. So it's the time for question and answer session. So I request all the participants to drop down your question in comment section. So we have got first question, very first question from Usha Khatriji. So she is saying, while looking for articles regarding One Health uh, as well as other purposes, why veterinary profession is so underrated to the articles regarding the human, why there is not such balancing as said in the said to be concept of One Health. How much time will it take to be balanced, or am I only feeling such? What views does One Health Federation have in this? So this is the questions by Usa Khatri. So can you please address this question?
Okay, so why veterinary profession is so underrated to articles regarding human? Why there is not such balance seen as in said to be concept of One Health? So I'm kind of having a bit of difficulty understanding the question. So does this mean that like the veterinary professionals are working more, like, so they have more articles about One Health from vets or from human health? So what is so
Okay.
okay, anyways, okay, so okay, let me answer what I think. So yeah, so there is kind of a disbalance because, like I said, the veterinarians are the ones like kind of everywhere who are always advocating for One Health, or for the implementation or a joint effort, and that is kind of the situation. So because like the thing is, the concept is fairly new, and we still need a lot of years and involvement to get the concept started and to have multi-sectoral collaboration, you know. So that is the challenge, because working with a separate sector outside your institution, from radically different profession, is always the challenge. So that is the situation. But when we look at different articles, are like, so if in my experiences, there are like articles from the vets, there are articles from the medicals, there are articles from the public health people. So right now, like, kind of there is a slight disbalance, but still, like, that is a challenge. And also one thing, according to my experience, is that vets, like, we are more into epidemiology and involving public health, where the human sectors are, especially doctors, are mostly focused towards clinical practice and treating people. So they're more less into research or disease control program in a community. So that could be another reason why there's a disbalance in the articles. So.
So thank you so much, sir. Now, next question is from Uswini Kumar Jha, sir. So, is there any way to overcome spill over and mutation to reduce the new occurrence of new diseases to cope up with One Health? So, can you please address this question too?
Is there any way to overcome? Well, yes. So first, so a lot of, so this is a really vast question, because so it depends upon the disease, it depends upon the species or the section that is having the spillover. For example, okay, for example, if we're talking about a spillover from the wildlife, so a lot of Lysa viruses or even like bat viruses are getting spillover from that sector. So we need to have we need to have control programs. We need to have vaccines like implemented in towards that. So this is like so exactly what I was trying to say. So One Health talks about control in different sectors. So it's like not one size does not fit all. So we need to have control programs and policies and a joint collaboration to cope up with the new diseases.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. So next question is from Anil Sharma, sir. So can someone get allergy towards insect and insect products?
Yes, yes, because there's a lot of insects which sometimes and a lot of them secrete harmful chemicals, or they have their protection mechanisms. So yes, but it depends upon the insects, because there's 5.5 million just species. So some are harmful, some are not. So yes, it's as animals, right? Some animals like we can eat, some animals like we stay away from because they are dangerous. So same as that.
Okay, the question is asked by Anil Sharma, sir. So let's wrap up with these two questions. So he's asking, is there any insect used in animal feed and their role in feed chain? And another is, please tell about the use of scale insects to enhance honey production.
Okay. So yes, so in Europe, so insects are being used for animal feed, but insects are just being used for pet and aquatic feed, as pet food and aquatic food, like aquatic animals, but they're not used in livestock as livestock proteins. So that is there. So some like not all so there are some popular insect species such as the black soldier fly and some other species. So they are mostly preferable for converting the insects to protein sources. And please tell about the use of scale insects to enhance honey production. So scale insects to enhance honey production. So I actually don't know like how this would work, because honey would be honeybees, which so just uh, improving the health of honey bees would be, and more flowers for pollination and protection for of them regarding a lot of pesticides and insecticides, because we know their population is kind of getting extinct. So that would be the approach to preserve the honeybee population and honeybees health, and then ultimately subsequently improve the honey production.
Okay, thank you so much. So it was so much wonderful session, but Anil sir has asked one more question. So let us address that question too. Though we have but limited time, so please tell about different collaborated approaches used in One Health recently.
Well, talking about Nepal, so yeah, so like I mentioned before, so currently they're making a rabies control strategy, which is a joint front by the Department of Livestock Services and the, I think, EDCD, from Epidemiology and Disease Control Division of the Ministry of Health. So this is one good example where the two sectors are coming together and working towards developing a joint strategy that is from the government side. A lot of programs are being happening in the AMR, and in the private sector, some institutions are like for example, the CMGN, they are working towards the bat viruses and also towards the migratory birds and the avian influenza virus. And even my own institution, we're working towards right now like a survey about the coronavirus situation among health professionals, where I'm collaborating with some of the medical doctors and some vets, and trying to like we're in the middle of writing up a report regarding that. So yes, so things are happening, but things are happening at a slow pace. Let's say that.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. So we are so sorry we cannot take all the questions as we have got limited time. We are so much delighted to have you here with us. So thank you so much, sir, for your valuable time and valuable presence and the lovely and wonderful presentation. So thank you so much. By this, we end our first session here. So any ending or closing remarks for from our Rakesh sir. So can you please wrap up with one, two words or one, two lines?
Okay, so first of all, I have a question. When I was presenting, was the full slide like presented or like an extended thing? Because I'm seeing in this comment like not to duplicate the screen.
We are not able to see the full slide, but no worries. We have
Because
slides properly.
I couldn't, because both of my screens were okay. Anyways, so yeah, so no, it was a pleasure because so I graduated from IAS and talking with the new vets and trying to share some of a bit of information or knowledge that I have is always a pleasure. And thank you so much, IVSA and YPARD Nepal, to have like invited me and giving me this platform to speak. So thank you all. Right?
Thank you so much, sir. We will be sharing another platform with you soon in future. So thank you so much. So now, without any further delay, we will start our second session. Second session will be cover up by our sir, Mr. Abhishek Khadka, on the topic climate change and its nexus with food and nutrition security. We're talking about him. He is the program manager at Bolio Nepal Nutrition Initiative. He has also the wide range of volunteer experience in different national and international networks. He was awarded as a best scientific presenter in Food Conference 2014 and the best poster presenter in 2018. So let us welcome our Abhishek sir. So Abhishek sir, can you hear me?
Thank you, Kamla, for such a wonderful introduction. Hi, everyone. It's me, Abhishek Khandka.
Okay, sir. Now you can take over the session. The platform is all yours.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine now. Is my screen full now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'll be talking briefly about how environmental aspects and climate change aspects in food and nutrition security. This will be just an overview. I'll just say more overview type of things related to environment and food and nutrition security. Okay, I'm going to start with this. Is climate change a hoax? Yesterday, I watched some of the conspiracy theories about climate change. Some people say it's a hoax, some people it's not. It's up to you what you feel. I'll be sharing some of the relevant facts in the coming slides, and let me know in the comment section what you think about it. If you think it's yes, just please comment in your comment section yes, or if it's no, please tell no. What do you feel? Okay. Just before the COVID last year, there was a exceptionally high tide water in Venice. It is assumed to be, it might be a result of increasing climate back then. It's nearly around 1 year ago, this picture was taken. And normally in 2020, whenever I'm giving the webinars on climate change, I share this picture because this was the very recent pics I found that has got correlation with the climate change. As we know that the world temperature is increasing nearly by 1 degree centigrade, and increasing by 1 degree centigrade can bring a great impact to biodiversity, human health, animal health, or plant health, and everyone is connected with the climate change. And the concept of One Health also correlates with the animal health, human health, and the environmental health. Like as I said, it has got multiple consequences: agriculture, veterinary, food safety, public health, economics, etc. This one is the broader picture. Just like we might be knowing since school period what climate change is, how it's been going, etc., etc. So I'll not be discussing more on this. So what is the climate in the interactive figure? We have the half atmosphere natural GHG, and another is human enhanced GHG effect, greenhouse gas effect, where the solar radiation, as well as other human induced gas emissions like CO2, CH4, N2O, and CFCs make can bring more greenhouse gas effect and elevate the temperature of the earth. Okay, now I'm going to share some of the data of climate.gov, where this say that let's compare from 1780 onwards only. Let's not go back to 1750 also. What this facts say that till 1780 the atmospheric carbon dioxide carbon dioxide and atmosphere carbon dioxide emission in the billions was huge gap in till 70-80. But as time keep on increasing, there is a like industrial revolution between 1900 to 1990. As time keep on increase, the carbon dioxide emission gradually increased. Now they are almost in the same state. The atmospheric carbon dioxide as well as the carbon emission are in same state. So is there any problem? Kamna, are you hearing me? Hello, Kamna? Okay, sorry for some technical problems. I think I'm audible now, right? Okay, now what I was in the atmospheric carbon dioxide as well as the carbon dioxide emissions. They are somewhat now more or less equal. So what do you think that gradually carbon dioxide is increasing more rapidly and then previous, let's compare from 1750 to 1850, it's very slowly increasing. But if we compare from 1850 to 1950, it is somewhat gradually growing. Now if you compare 1950 to 2020, it's very sharply increasing. There's very much sharp increment in carbon dioxide emission, so that caused the disbalance in the atmospheric gases. So this is the same figure same figure of the previous one. This says that till 2020 we have around 412 ppm carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and we have also same figure here. This information is being taken from climates.gov. Now let me talk why carbon dioxide. I'm more focusing carbon dioxide. Why carbon dioxide is more induced on climate change. Like if you compare the heating imbalance watt per meter, it means that in 1 meter square area how much heat is being induced. If you compare then the carbon dioxide as a major area of heat. Just like in 1990 and if you compare between 1990 and 2019, the heating imbalance is largely increased by the carbon dioxide. But very less share is with methane and other minor gases are very much less share. And what we see that from 1990 to 2019, the contribution of heating imbalance has been increased by 45%. It's been increased by 45%. And in the next y-axis we have the annual greenhouse gas index, which is relative to 1990. It's been relative to 1990, and this says that from 1990 onwards the carbon dioxide heating imbalance has been it is nearly around 0.95. approx. It means that the huge share of heating imbalance is being caused by carbon dioxide. And I'll just connect to food security and nutrition later side, but it might be boring for you to looking at all these graphs and all. So I'll share some of the Nepal data. What we see in Nepal context that the shorter rainfall are getting less and the longer rainfall are getting huge. Just like नेपालीमा भन्नुपर्दा चाहिँ सिमसिमे पानी थोरै पर्न थाल्यो, मुसलधारे पानी धेरै पर्न थाल्यो. This is the one of the many dialogues when I go to the field I hear from the old men, because they says that अहिले चाहिँ सानो पानी पर्नै छोडिसक्यो. One of the effect of climate change on the atmospheric rainfall. So these are some of the facts. And in Nepal, if we see the climate change comparison of past 1 decade, it's around 0.23 degrees centigrade. And what 0.23 can do, I think we have been seeing the Himalayas snowless. It's the month of November, and still we are not seeing much snow in the Himalayas. The snow caps are somewhat barren. This is the one of the effect. Whereas the other effect, this is like we have flood, landslide, and all. We are watching every effect in the news headlines. It is also one of the effect of climate change, I say. It doesn't, every people doesn't believe that there may be climate change or not. Okay, now I am focusing on what climate change could bring, could bring or can bring in the future. Just like if you see the red zones area, what is in the sea level will increase. And if you see the middle one here, not sea level, but the temperature will be very high in this region by 2050. And approximately 300 million people can get replaced. And okay. And if you see the coastal regions of China, India, and most of these islands, it is estimated most of the Maldives island will vanish by 2050. And Nepal can be a country for climate refugees. It is estimated from the climate economist that. So this might be one of the big threat to the nature by 2050 due to the climate change. So what's wrong with this slide? Okay, now I'm comparing with the brief pictorial view how climate change is changing the environment landscapes. Just like if this is the one of the Arctic images between 1973 and 2006. Now this image clearly shows that the huge amount of ice has been lost. Now, on the one hand, the ice is lost. On the other hand, the biodiversity is lost. There is a I think I saw in National Geographic video, due to the loss in the ice, the polar bear are losing their habitat in the Arctic regions. And this is the another Arctic images, which was taken around 1960 and around 2005, I guess. I just copied from one of the climate journal. And this picture clearly shows how much ice has been minimized in past 100 years, and such melting of ice can cause elevation in sea level, and the most of the island country can vanish by 2050. And this is the second image of the same region. Now I'm coming back to the hunger. I'm keeping the climate change fact in one side, just let it be there, and I'll saying another fact. Around 2 billion people lack the regular, safe, and nutritious food. It means that not 2 billion people aren't able to eat safe food or nutritious food or enough food. Like what is enough food? There might be a good debate on it. Some people might say to eat 4 times a day or to eat 3 times a day, or some people might debate on they should eat at least 2350 kilocalories per day. There might be a wide range of discussions over this, but personally, in my perspective, if every individual feel that their stomach is fulfilled, that is enough food. And now considering the second fact, 821.6 million people don't have good food to eat in 2018. This is the WFP data of 2019, sorry, 2018. And what this, so that this has got extreme relation with the malnutrition. Like if they can go, have the sufficient food, then they have got the that can give a very big consequences in the nutrition sector. Now I'm connecting this fact with the climate change. Now again, we on the first audio slides I shared about the elevation of carbon dioxide. Now what is gonna play the role that 19.5%, 14.4%, and 14.6% reduction in global per capita nutrient in protein, iron, and phosphorus due to the elevation of carbon dioxide. This is been found out one of the study. So the climate change has got some direct or indirect relation with the nutrition also. So what is the availability of the nutrition in around it was done around 25 years gap. So what the author found that there might be a change in nutrition profile in 25 years earlier and 25 years later. Okay. And now I'm saying the global hunger map. This was recently launched by WFP. If you see the map, you can see Chad is the most hungriest country, where Nepal lies in a range of 5 to 14 range. Around 9% people are hungry. This is the fact of global hunger map. And if this trend line continues, then it might be 840 million by 2030. This is the recent information by the World Food Program. Now I'm showing the interesting data from Global Hunger Index. This was also launched recently in 2020. And what this says that Nepal is not, the Global Hunger Index of Nepal is improving in context to South Asian region. If you see the South Asian region, India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, they have got yellow region. Yellow means around between serious, they are in very much serious category, whereas Nepal is in moderate light green. It's between 10 to 19.9. Precisely it's 19.5 in Nepal's Global Hunger Index. So in terms of hunger index, Nepal is in moderate condition than other neighboring and then other Southeast Asian countries. Now I'm going to talk food security components of food security. One is food availability. What is food availability means? There's the food must be available. How can that be available? That can be production. That can be some we can buy from the nearest shop or access from there, or we can buy from different types of market. And another is food stability. This is more like it is a behind the bar reason, like we can't control it. Just like climate change comes under this stability, because every year we can't have the same rainfall, same pattern, or same weather in the same cropping season. So these are the four elements, and due to these four elements can determine the food security index of the area, or we can find the food sufficiency, how much food is sufficient from the crop which is produced from there. Okay, I'm showing some of the comparison of GHI. This is the Nepal, and this is the India. Nepal was between 20 to 40 in 2000. Now it's 19.5. India and Nepal was pretty similar position in 2000. India managed to decrease nearly around it's around 29.8, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And we have Chad. Chad is very slowly decreasing. According to Global Hunger Index, Index report, Chad is the one of the most hungriest nation of the globe. And this one is the China. China has been drastically reducing global hunger index. From 2012, it's always less than 5 in China. Now, I'm linking the climate change and production. What I'm sharing this fact that rice production from 2020 to 2050, wheat 2020 to 20, it's all projected data. Maize 2020 to 2050, and potato 2020 to 2050. What we see that the area of rice cultivation is gradually increasing. We can see it in our day-to-day life also, because more people are more habituated with rice, and they are replacing other pseudo cereals like millet, buckwheat in the Himalayan or hilly region. The food pattern habit is changing, and the rice cultivation area is increasing. On the other side, if we compare, then the productivity of rice is decreasing. By 2050, it will decrease by 0.4%. And if I'm not mistaken, Nepal imports a huge amount of rice from the neighboring countries. And the production which is done in the country is not sufficient to feed the nation. So from the angle of economics, if we see that, the price of rice is going to hike by 2050. I will say that. Now let's forget the rice and go to the wheat. If you go to the wheat, what we see that there might be a variable change in from 2020 to 2050, because wheat is one of the most stable crop. It is used in most of the fast food chain or staple food in European countries or in American countries, or even in our countries as a form of roti or paratha, whatever we are eating. What we see that the cultivation area might be same from 2020 to 2050, or might increase in the between, but there will be huge production of wheat by 2050. And now I'm relating it from the angle of economics that the wheat price will also increase, but it won't increase as a rate to the rice. If you guys know the 2008 recession, the recession hiked the price of rice nearly around 100%. Since after then, the price of rice is not decreased in such a significant manner. Just like there's a 100% increase in rice price, then there's never 100% decrease in rice price. So that's a different. Now, if we see the maize, there is the huge decrement in the maize. As we know, the maize is used mostly in feed industries for animal feeds. Now, this might be detrimental for the livestock farming or even for human also, like popcorn culture or corn culture can be replaced by 2050, because there is abundant loss of the productivity. Similarly, in the case of potato also, what is estimated that the potato which is grown in the Himalayan region and the potato which is grown in the Tarai region, they have got some different chemical constraints. Just like it might be moisture content, or it might be size, or it might be appearance. But by 2050, the potato production shall decrease, which has got great impact in food security of Himalayan region, just like in Nepal or in where there is very much less accessibility of transport. So it might be a problematic for developing country like Nepal till 2050. And if we see the potato cultivation yield by 2050, it's going to decrease by 8.9% in comparison to 2020. So these are some of the facts of rice, wheat, maize, and potato. Now I'm going to talk more about wheat only now in the next session. How wheat gonna play in more for wheat gonna be more valuable for the industries of Nepal. Like in Nepal, there are around minimum 5 noodle industries. I have yesterday counted myself. Minimum 7 biscuit industries, 4 feed industries, and 3 brewery industries in Nepal. And how it impact is like none of these industries rely on Nepal wheat. Every company procure wheat from other countries. It's like the production of Nepal, the production of wheat in Nepal cannot sustain the products, these factories in Nepal. Just imagine the noodles, 75-gram noodles, how much will be produced in the factory in a one day? It's more than around 2 to 3 tons, I guess. And such factories are 5 in number. Even we can compare, there are big large groups of industries who are producing noodles. There are big large groups of companies who are producing biscuit. And even what we are facing, that Nepalese biscuit along with the foreign company biscuits are being marketed very largely in Nepal, because most of the urban region of Nepal, we see foreign biscuits, whereas in the rural areas we see Nepalese biscuit in the rural areas of Nepal, and all of them are well marketing and well consumed in that area. Now let's see the feed industries. Unluckily, I should say myself, most of the feed industry doesn't procure maize of Nepal. And I asked why you don't procure maize of Nepal. They say that the first thing is price. The Indian maize or foreign company maize is very much cheap in comparison to Nepal. The second of all, the maize is somewhat big size. The germ in the sperm layer is very much big, and germ layer is small. So that the feed, they're the granular size they're expecting after the grinding, that very much suits for the hen, or hen as well as other livestock, livestock in the feed industries. And in comparison to beer, there are some wheat beers with Nepal, which has been largely promoting, but still they are not procuring all wheat from Nepal. They are procuring from neighboring countries. So climate change, now let's see if climate, I'm going back to this slide again. Now if the price of wheat, if the wheat production get increases, obviously it gets decreases here. But in Nepal, most of the people are not used to wheat as a staple food. They use only as a snacks or as a tiffin or something like that. But in Nepal, they use rice as one of the staple food. So the per capita consumption of rice will drastically increase by 2050, whereas the per capita consumption of wheat might remain same or decrease by 2050. This projected data. Source of, I already talked this. Now I'm talking to the, I'm sharing the perspective of food safety. What is food safety? Means the food which we consume should be safe. This is my term. But the food safety starts from the farm itself. Just like using of different pesticides or insecticides in the farm should be minimized, or should be used in the control limit. There should be a threshold period, etc. There are different pre-harvest food safety conditions, whereas there are different post-harvest food safety conditions, which can bring different change, which can affect the food safety conditions from farm to the fork. Recently, Nepal government has launched, I forgot that, launched one certification system on GAP, Nepal GAP, that it's been piloted in some of the vegetable crops, I think cabbage and cauliflower, and is being a great success. Now it should be replicated in other areas also. Now I'm sharing some of my talking to whenever I go to the field, I talk to some of the old people and how it's been changed the livelihoods 50 years ago and 50 years, and they share their ideas. Just like when I was in Dolka, people used to say that there wasn't any mosquito in 50 years ago, but now there are mosquitoes 50 years back now. So these are some of the changes due to the climate change in the community or in the environment status. Not only mosquitoes, but insecticides, insects as well as pest contamination rate is also very increased very high. And another thing is the mold growth is very much high these days in mid hills area of Nepal. Most of people ask me personally how to minimize this fungal growth or mold growth in the pickle or in any food. it might be various reason, but I think climate change is also one of the thing, because due to the increasing climate, the fungus gets ambient temperature to for the growth, so which hamper which can hamper the food nutrition. Okay, now I'm going to share one of the abstract of this research, the coffee mycotoxins in climate. This was done very much nice research I have read. What was the main thing that uh, a man coffee 25 years ago and 25 years later, the mycotoxin contamination was significantly high. Although it might be or might not be climate change, just like there's very much slow increase in global temperature, and I think this was 0.5 degrees centigrade. But most of the climate economists are correlating that there might be a huge post-harvest food systems in the by 2050. They are sharing the fact. So next slide. And these are the some of the I've cited some of the disease, that microbiological disease that could be affected by climate change variability and mode of transmission to humans. To be very honest, I'm very sorry, I'm not a veterinarian, I'm a food technologist, and I can't understand some of the diseases which are mentioned over. But in a general overview, if you see that the contamination salmonella or campylobacter or vibrio has been increased very high in the recent year comparatively 50 years or 60 years ago. And this can be made more clear with this diagram. Just like PSP and HAB. PSP and HAB. Paralytic shellfish poisoning and harmful algal blooms in some of the regions has been this research was shared by Tirado. This is actually a review paper. What he's sharing is that the risks of PSP, this the red dots in PSP, has been increased significantly in the coastal region of the continents. If you see 1917-2000 data, there is a significant, very high increase. If you see in 1970s and 1999 data, the red circles are the PSPs. It has been increased very high in the other regions also in a short span of 20 years. So what we see that the toxins can affect ultimately the human health, just like we know biomagnification. I'll later come to the slide also, biomagnification. So it can come to the human health also. So this is the biomagnification, just like while it comes to the human, the concentration keeps on increasing very high and high and high. So it might ultimately affect the human also. So lastly, is climate change hoax? Yes or no? Drop down your answers. So what you think about the climate change, and I'll try to address the questions which will be asked, and within short time also I try to manage them. I try to give more clear information about climate change, food security, food safety, and some of the toxins and some interlinkages between them. But still, this will not suffice. I agree on that. I hope I'll continue. I'll give more webinars like this in the future. And lastly, conclusion: we are all connected. We have one world, and one concept is necessary. Lastly, what goes around comes around. The laws of karma. So these are the plastic which we throw in the marine, and it ultimately comes into our dish. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your lovely presentation. So now it's time for question and answer session. So okay, I have seen some questions. Okay, Mukesh ji has asked, how can we bring a climate change on our country? What are the basic ways to improve to the good environment? How can we increase the food availability?
Thank you, Mukesh. What are the basic ways to improve good environment? So, in my perspective, I feel we should go to the organic. Like we should not use any fertilizers or use any pest. Yes, of course, that might hamper. Of course, that might hamper. Sorry, there was a call. I'm really sorry. Of course, there might be very less production in the initial years, just like 2-3 years there will be very initial production, but it can give a great results after 3 to 4 years onwards. So if I'm not mistaken, in 1980s or 1985, I still have read some of the books. There used to be huge spreading of DDT in the atmosphere to control pests, but now DDT has been banned. DDT has been banned. It has brought a big change in biodiversity. Just like if you guys remember the film Terminator Part One, where the lead actress go to the field, that is the DDT field. To be very honest, the director James Cameron has shared in later in 2003 interview. He said that that is a DDT field, and it was very hard to nearly the lead actress uh, got expired in that accident. So to make a good environment, I think we should go to organic, or we should go traditional, but not organic. I don't use prefer like to use organic. We should go traditional. It's like we should go traditional culture of farming. And what I doubt is still I'm also trying to work on A2 milk and A1 milk of local breed and local breed and hybrid breed of cows. Um, so promoting local can help more environmental sustainability, I think. And regarding food availability, we should there are different types of agriculture pattern. So there are different types of agricultural pattern. Uh, just like climate resilient agriculture farming or permaculture can promote the sustainable food system in the society.
Okay. Thank you so much,
So
sir. So let us address another question from Anil Sarmad, sir. So, what are the different methods that are implemented to control the climate change?
I think this is a very big question. We can control climate change, but we can minimize the emission of carbon dioxide, and it's a gradual process. We can do like a day in a glimpse. So it's a very big question. But what we can do is we can just like change from ourselves to control climate change, just like minimization of minimization of carbon emission, or converting the methane gas into carbon dioxide, or we can do just like less use of plastics or any other carbon emitted products. Just like we can you make house from what we say the bricks from not using bricks, but we are but cemented bricks, interlock bricks. We can use such types of technology. So climate change is not only in agriculture; it's in different sectors. Some of the economists still say that agroeconomists say that even livestock farming can contribute to climate change. So that might be a big debate. So let's not. I'm just sharing my thought. Um, we can change like this, but we need to. It can be changed gradually.
Yes, it is the vast topic, and we cannot just address all the questions and all the answers here in this session. So let us take another question from Aswini Kumar, sir. So, how would a common man cope up with the climate change? If possible, please mention few tips a common man would adopt for food security in the midst of COVID-19.
Uh, Aswinji, that's a very nice question. I was expecting such question. Um Regarding the food security in amidst COVID-19, I request you to. I've shared few week ago a post regarding how to eat such food in COVID-19. There is a food consumption pattern also. You can have a look over that post, or I can just text you in personally about that group. And how do common men cope up with the climate change? To be very honest, I was the one who was working in the Dolka district in a very snowfall area, and went to the very hot area Susta last month only. Nearly I got fainted. To even I could not cope up. And what I did is my experience was I used a lot of water daily to cool my body. So it was very hot. because I had worked in a very cold area in the past, and this was the my method. But most of the people like cope up in the India. I've seen that people migrating from one place to another because they can stay for such a high climate for a long period of time. Even in Nepal, also previously, people used to uh, go or visit the Tarai houses in winter season. That is also cold climate cover, not only hot climate cover. But this is the one of the general practice. And regarding the food security, just let connect. I'll share that one food habit pattern, food consumption pattern is in the YPARD Nepal group. Also, you can have a look, and you can it I think it will be very helpful for you during this COVID period.
Okay, thank you so much. So let us jump into another question by Karisma Pokhrelji. So as sea ice is decreasing due to ongoing global warming, how it is affecting the polar bear population?
Okay, that is a very much specific population question. To be very honest, I have no idea what's the population of polar bear in the world. But surely the climate is not favoring their habitat. Just like polar bear stay in very much cold climate now. Since climate change is gradually increasing and the ice are melting, their habitat is being destroyed. Is being destroyed. So the population, so the polar bear population is decreasing. But I can't say how much. I'm very sorry for that.
Okay, let us jump to another question from Rakesh ji. In case of Nepal, what would be the priority issue that requires the One Health approach, and how do you suggest we do this? How can we be of help towards climate change?
Okay, from approach, I'll say, like we do have lots of laws. We have lots of laws, and but we are very much poor in implementations. Like meat slaughterhouse inspection at 2052 BS is not implemented or very less implemented, where either veterinarian or meat technologists are not employed for the meat quality control. Or before slaughtering, I visit some of the slaughterhouses, and they even don't have either veterinary technicians also. So I think it's the first job of government to provide job for such technician or veterinarian or meat technologist or meat scientist, whatever there are in the country. So they should be given such a good job, and they ensure the safety of the meat. I've heard that yes, there is ostrich meat also, but very few people only consume in Nepal, and most of it is export because they have got good technology as well as their good human resource over there, so that meat is export. But let us trying other meat export. It's very hard. I think only ostrich meat and chicken meat are being exported from Nepal to China and other third countries, not even India also. One is in Chitwan, one is in Ostrich. I don't know Ostrich farm. Look, I've not been there. They are they are being employed. The second of thing, I think, believe that there should be uh, accessible. The people who are in the rural areas, this should be accessible to veterinarian. Just like even I felt that to do one AI, people need to travel around 4 to 5 days, which is very hard in the rural areas. I think they should be made more accessible. I see more role of government rather than we technologists or veterinarian or whatever we are here. I see something now connecting with the climate change. I think just like now gradually animal farming is just like chicken farming. We can use I more give priorities to byproduct utilizations, like stools of chicken can be used as fertilizers, or the cow dung can be used in fertilizer, which can minimize the climate change effect. Just like methane is 21% more harmful than carbon dioxide, so methane can be used as a biogas to convert carbon dioxide, so it can give less effect. And if you see globally also, the animal farming is increasing day by day. So directly or indirectly that is contributing to climate change.
Okay.
So okay.
You can say.
Okay. And I was trying to say, like when I was in Beijing last year, uh, I read a fact that due to the high swine farming, pig farming over there, the rainfall of the Beijing country drops around 75 kg of nitrogen through rainfall only. It means that people don't use fertilizer in farming. The nitrogen content comes from the rainfall. That is the one of the results. So I think we need to do sustainable farming procedure to mitigate the climate change effects.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. So Anil ji is asking, is there any method to monitor effect of climate change on health?
Actually, there is. I tried some of the papers sourcing, but I saw only tropical disease are spreading through climate change, just like malaria or dengue are spreading through the climate change effect. So what I'm seeing now that 20 years ago when I came first in Kathmandu, there was not mosquito or very less mosquito I feel. But now 20 years later in the summer season, there are huge mosquitoes. One other thing, and another relevant examples could be that in my house, my own house example, in my house there are around 10 cows. In the past, the cows used to feel sick or they used to get sick very less, but now they are getting very more, like once in a month they get sick. That might be one of the climate change effect, but I don't say climate change, but climate change might change something else, and something might got health effect. Just like climate change can increase fungus growth increases mycotoxin production can cause different types of health issues either in human or in animal. So that might be climate change, but there is sure the role of climate change in every sector.
Okay, thank you so much. Another question is also from the Anil Sharma. Does climate change affects infectious disease spread patterns?
Okay, that's too much specific. I think we have a next speaker next tomorrow regarding health and thing. I think we should keep hold of this question and ask him tomorrow. Uh, I think this is on beyond my expertise. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for your presentation, for your valuable time, and for your addressing such a great question, which is out of the topic too. Some questions are, and some question is off the topic. So thank you so much, Abhishek sir, for your valuable presence and for your valuable time you have given to us. So we are so much delighted to have you here. So lastly, one, two, three sentence from your side.
Like, thank you, everyone. I'm also a country representative for YPARD and the coordinator Subha, who did a great job in managing everything. And within a short time, also she managed all the guests. And I hope we continue such platforms in the upcoming year. And Rakesh, I think you and I are gonna work for a long time in the near future also for YPARD Nepal. Thank you for accepting the invitation on behalf of IBSA. But it's not in an IBSA. We can work in the future also. Thank you, everyone, and keep loving YPARD and IVSA.
Thank you so much, sir. So, by this, we are at the end of the session. For the formal ending of the session, I want to invite Ashish Adhikari, sir, for the formal closing of this session. He is the president of IVSA Nepal. So, Ashish, sir, can you please unmute yourself? Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Kamana. Hello, everyone. It's me, Ashish Adhikari, President of IVSA Paklihawa. I want to welcome all of you from my side and from the team of IVSA Nepal once again here in this webinar series. Today, we had our two respected speakers. First speaker was Dr. Rakesh Chand. He did his presentation on the overview of One Health concept in Nepal, insect trade and role in global health. And then second speaker was our beloved brother, Mr. Uh, Abhishek Khadka. He talked about the climate change and its nexus with food and nutrition security. I want to thank both of the speakers from my side and on the behalf of the IVSA Paklihawa team. Um, in this webinar series, which is being jointly conducted by YPARD Nepal and IVSA Paklihawa, we'll have two speakers in this day. This webinar series will be conducted tomorrow and the day after tomorrow also. So tomorrow we'll have two speakers. One is we'll have Miss Inga McDermott. She will be discussing about the canine distemper virus, and then other speakers will also be there on the daily basis. So IVSA Paklihawa and YPARD Nepal has been doing a great job since its establishment. IVSA Paklihawa has been doing some good works in the field of veterinary in live and digital platforms also. So from my behalf, I want to thank YPARD Nepal also for jointly organizing this webinar series with IVSA Paklihawa. So this coordination will also go further. This coordination will also be good in future coming days also. So it's all for today. Thanks all of the viewers, which you are being viewed. You are being us at Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and our YPAD group. So thanks all of you. Thanks our speakers, and thank you all. We'll see you tomorrow, and that's all for now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. We are at the end of the session. See you tomorrow at exactly at 4 p.m. So till stay safe, stay happy.